How much do people actually spend in retirement? That's what today's video is going to be about, because you want to understand where are you, not because we care about what's the average, but because it's important to understand where you are in relation to your goals. You might watch this video and say, wow, I am so far off track, I really need to save a whole lot more, just to make sure that I'm understanding, hey, what is it really going to cost? It helps to have a general sense. But alternatively, you might watch this video and go, oh my gosh, I'm saving so much more than I even think I might need, meaning, does that mean we can consider alternatives of retiring early? Of really saying, can I switch careers? Even if it means making less, are you happier? And therefore you work more years, creating more income as a whole. So there's so many different considerations here. We're gonna hop into a few different examples. I'm gonna whip out the iPad with my pencil here, and it's going to be fun. So as a reminder, I'm Ari Taublieb. I am a financial planner. I have the best job in the world. I am the youngest financial planner who loves retirement planning. So let's hop right in. From clients I work with, most people tend to spend anywhere from $6,000 a month to $10,000, $12,000 a month. Now, it's a wide average, but we're going to work through today exactly how you can be thinking about your retirement to understand where are you in relation to your goals. So let's whip out the iPad. Now, let's assume that you want to spend $6,000 every single month, just as a starting place, or $72,000 a year. Now, if that's what we want to spend, we want to think about where's income coming from. There's an IRA, there's Social Security, there's a pension, maybe there's rental income, maybe there's a Roth IRA. So there's all of these different income source potential where we're going to be pulling from. Maybe there's a taxable account, also just known as a brokerage account. You might hear about this as a bridge fund or a gap fund, meaning where you pull from if you want to retire early so that there's no penalties. All of these different places of where to pull income from. But the reason I bring this up is if we want to spend $6,000 a month, if this is coming from an IRA, well, it's not $6,000 a month that we really need. It's really more like $8,000 a month or $9,000 a month so that we can end up with $6,000 a month after taxes. Now, we have software here at our firm that calculates exactly what that is, but the reason for that is when you take money out of your IRA, you are paying taxes on it. Now, let's say that you had a Roth IRA, you pay no taxes, which means if you want $6,000 every single month, you can just pull exactly that amount from your Roth IRA and you will have $6,000. Now, when we pull from our accounts, there's certain rules that we want to follow, but to get a general sense of how much do people actually spend in retirement, let's look at what inflation has been. Inflation historically is 3%. Now, that sounds extremely low with everything happening in the world today, but that's the historical average. Now, you might say, wow, that means I need to plan for a whole lot more money over the course of my lifetime. Well, you do, but not in the traditional sense. Here's what I mean by that. Is if you want to spend $100,000 every year in retirement, that's a good amount of money. Now let's assume that you retire at 65 and that's what you're planning on. How much do you think people actually spend by year 80, if you had to guess? Well, it'd be a tough guess, but the answer is actually more like $75,000 to $80,000. Why is that? Surely you're going, Ari, inflation's going up. Why would I be spending less dollars? Well, it's because on average, the actual expenditures of retirees goes down even more so than inflation. And so history shows the actual rate of expenditure decreases at the same time. Here's why that's so interesting, is if you want to spend $100,000 every single year in retirement, and that goes up by 3% every year, well then the next year, we need to make sure we have $103,000. Otherwise said, $103,000 is what it's going to cost to maintain the purchasing power of $100,000 today. So let's fast forward to the future. $100,000 actually is going to cost $300,000 to pay the same amount of goods, to meet your living expenses. $300,000 is going to really be the same value as $100,000, that's what we're planning for, is this number right here. And so to get a general sense of how much do people actually spend in retirement, what I can tell you from experience working with retirees, it ranges from $6,000 a month all the way to $12,000 or $14,000 a month. At the most that I've seen has been $24,000 a month. Now, it's not a right or wrong, it's a how much assets do you have and how much can that actually be supported by your portfolio, by Social Security, by a pension. So the reason I whip out the whiteboard is just to play around with these different scenarios. The next thing I love to walk through, especially when it comes to thinking about retirement and what do people actually spend, is what I invite you to do is think about your core expenses. Your core expenses are going to be what's it cost to just put food on the table, groceries, make sure you're meeting living expenses. For most people, this averages out to $3,000 to $4,000 a month. Now, most people are there. Then maybe we add on a mortgage. Maybe then we add on travel. And we ask ourselves, how much do you want to spend on travel? I'd say a lot of people want to spend about $10,000 to $20,000 every single year on travel. And then their mortgage, of course, that's going to fluctuate based off of whatever you're spending on your mortgage. Now, all of this is going to change if you want to downsize. If you say, you know what, I'm not in my dream retirement, then meaning dream retirement home, then you want to consider, should I think about how that's going to impact my overall retirement? Yes. But the overall message here is that you are going to want to spend a certain amount in retirement. And let's say that that amount is $6,000 a month. And you are going to ask yourself, wow, is that going to be enough? What if I want to spend more? And the reality is you pick a number and it's not about getting it perfectly right 100%. No one ever does. There's something called the retirement smile, which says that in your early years of retirement, let's assume that you're 65 here and you're 90 here, that while you have your health, while you have your energy, you tend to spend more right about here. And I'll just change colors to illustrate this. And then right about here, you're in, call it your 70s, 80s. And what happens is people tend to spend less. They travel less. They just tend to not do as much for various reasons. And then all of a sudden, it comes back up here, your expenses, because maybe there's health events. Maybe you want to do more giving. So this is what we call the retirement. I'm going to change colors here. The retirement smile. In the retirement smile, we utilize this really term because it's not about having an exact amount in your head of here's what I want to spend every year, because it's going to fluctuate. So that $6,000 a month is going to be more in certain years, less in others, but what we're looking for is an average, and the reason for that is so that we can plug that into the software to understand, are we able to reasonably maintain our standard of living, never run out of money, and be on track for retirement? So that is it for today's video. We want to understand, can we spend enough? What is the average of what most people are spending? And I just want to give you a sense in this video. Now, once again, I love that these videos are free on YouTube. My only ask is that you share it with someone who you want to retire with. It is no fun to retire alone. Make sure that they are watching these videos as well. And lastly, comment below if there's a certain video you want to make sure that I talk about in the future. I love making these videos. And then very lastly, once again, I do this for a living. You can always apply it by looking in the description of this video and seeing what is it like to work with me, and I will reach out to you if there is a good fit. So once again, thank you so much for supporting this video, and I'll see you next time.